Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I always like to introduce our team right off the bat. God has provided me with this awesome team that I get to manage, and so I like to start out with Miss Faith, my faithful assistant. I can get her up there. Faith has basically been my assistant since the day she was born. She used to work the sound board with her father when she was too little, and then she used to come up on the podium and help me do announcements when she could sit up. We would set her on the podium. And frankly, I think they listened to the announcements much better when you were there. But she grew up about 6 blocks from my house, and she is the person behind the scenes. She does all the work, and I just do the talking. And she knows me better than I know myself. So if you're here and you say hello, good morning, hi, she's the one that answers you as me. And I always go back later and just kind of check it out, see if she missed anything. But she knows me better than I know myself for the most part. So it's kind of like we joke around that we have one brain between us. So
literally. We really do. We really do.
She has been my official assistant in my other business and here at the church for like 5 years. So yeah. And today she's always our soloist lately, but today she's going to be singing a song from Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver called The Art of Peace. Aren't you happy that I remembered that this time?
I'm so proud of you.
I know, right? And so thank you, Faith. We love you. Thank you for being here. And my partner in crime, the wise and powerful Oz, who's been with me since 1998 at the Denver church. Wow, that was
45 years.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, crazy. And he was my board president for many, many years. He was my first baby practitioner, meaning he took all of his training with me except for one class at Mile High. And then was my board president for like 7 or 8 years until he moved off to Florida, and we lost the ability to have him in service with us. Excuse me. But now that we have this software, he's back, and we're so happy. He'll be doing our pray in and pray out, and he'll be doing our 1-minute miracle at the end, which I'll talk more about in the announcements. So thank you for being here. We love you, Oz. And we have a visiting practitioner here today. Her name is Leslie McKinnon, and she is officially licensed with, Centers for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas, right? Yes. Okay, I got it. I don't always get to. When we were in a facility, we would always have the ministers and practitioners who were visiting stand up and be acknowledged. And so this is our way of acknowledging her presence. Thank you for visiting with us today. All right. And I always like to introduce our adjunct music team. Not that they appear on camera, but Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver and Karen Drucker have provided us with music so that we can have a full service on Sundays. And it isn't just me being a talking head for an hour, which I like. I really like the whole service. I mean, you know. But anyway, if you're here, please say hi, good morning, hello. Just let us know that you're here. When we're in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces smiling back at me. I don't have that ability here. It just tells me how many people are here. And so we love it when you say hi, hello, or good morning. And if you're visiting later, just drop a note and say hello, just so I know that you stopped by. We love that. We have a lot of people who stop in later, which is great. All right. Our topic today is Back to Basics. We've been doing the Back to Basics series the entire month of January. We are in the 3rd week. We did the thing itself, the way it works, and today we're doing what it does. And then also we have a watch party button, which is a great way to invite your friends to watch. You just click on that watch party button and invite all your friends. And it's a great way for them to see what kind of Sunday services we provide, but it's also a great way for you to talk back and forth with them so that if they have any questions, and we really recommend that you do that during the Back to Basics month, because it is a really good example of what we teach. So anyway, and oh, I forgot Tina. How could I forget Tina? Also part of our adjunct music team is Albertina Giuffre, who's been a singer in our church since 2000 and is taking a very extended break. She needed to get some other things done, but we love having Tina here, and she comes for special events. If we had thought about it earlier, we would have had her come to sing this weekend, so Faith would have a weekend off for her birthday. So, but we didn't think about it soon enough. So I'd like to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Presence of God. For God, as we conceive of it, is in all things as all things. For if one considers that God is eternal, that God is ever present, God must be right here, right now, in you, in me, in all things, all we encounter, all an expression of that one force that we speak of as God. And I invite that presence to uplift and inspire through the service, knowing that God is talking to God right now and in the future, if you're watching this at that time. So I allow this blessing to flow forth, and I give thanks that it is so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. This next song is, excuse me, another one of Reverend Fairy Lane Silver's. We are all one. And it is the basis of our philosophy that we are connected by it, through it, as it. So if you know the words, sing it loud, sing it proud, because you can't bother anybody. And if you don't know the words, learn them, because it's a great way to remember that we are all connected.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all
We are truly all one in it. That was actually Reverend Ferry Lane Silver is a Unity minister who was trained as a licensed practitioner with religious science. And all of these songs that we use of hers were written while she was in practitioner training. So they're pretty cool. All right. So if you're here, please say hi, good morning, hello, however you'd like to greet us. When we are in a facility, I can look out and see who's here. I don't have that ability with this software. So please let us know that you're here. And if you hear something that you like, whether it's something I say or Faith sings or Oz prays, use that thumbs up button to let us know you like it. And if you love it, send us hearts because we love getting love. And if something I say is very powerful for you, please use the wow button. I love getting that feedback so I know when I'm on track. Because, you know, it's God's message, but I'm the one that has to deliver it. So, you know, I try really hard to make sure that I'm clear and concise with what I say. All right. So without further ado, here is Faith singing The Art of Peace by Reverend Ferry Lane Silver.
Thank you. It's in everyone. It's an art. Let fear be released. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. It's in everyone. It's an art. Let fear be released. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. Knowing co-creation is a victory to the light. Ascending to transformation, where peace is shining bright. Rise above illusion and see with spirit's eyes. Replace fear and confusion, and your heart will be energized. Everyone, it's an art. Let fear be released. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. Existence with no thoughts of waging war. Keep our spirits lifted. It's what we came here for. Rise above illusion and see with spirit's eyes. Replace fear and confusion, and your heart will be energized. It's in everyone. It's an art. Let fear be released. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. It's in everyone. It's an art. Let fear be released. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. It's the art of peace. It's the art
Oh, thank you so much, Faith. I love Reverend Fairy Lane Silver stuff. Yeah, I know it's harder to sing than Karen Drucker. Karen Drucker is so easy because she's just like, it's chance almost, but
Well, and we're still, as we all learned last week, still recovering over all of this lovely throat stuff. So some of those notes are a little interesting at the moment.
yeah. Well, thank you. I
Thank
sure
you.
appreciate you. And happy birthday for those of you who don't know. She turned 19 yesterday. So I took her to lunch and she did all kinds of fun stuff yesterday. Had a quiet evening last night, I guess, but is Hannah there?
Yeah.
Hi, Hannah.
And there's the cat. Yeah. Everything's all chaotic at the moment. But thank you.
Thank you. We would sing happy birthday to her, but nothing syncs with the software. It is very difficult for us to sing anything and have everybody come in at the same moment. You can hear this like almost echoing. So we've been going over the first 4 chapters of the textbook. We call it our Back to Basics series. And the first week was the thing itself. That's cute. Was the thing itself. And then last week was the way it works. And today is what it does. So I'm going to do a quick recap of what we've been talking about. The thing itself is God. Now, God is my word. There are some people that are not comfortable with the word God, and I certainly want you to interpret that however you like. If you want to call it universal spirit, if you want to call it universe, if you want to call it great spirit, Allah, whatever works for you, just sort of translate that. God is my word, and it's the one that I'm really comfortable with. So I use that a lot. And so really the thing itself is God, and it's about us having a divine blueprint of God within us. That is the truth about us. Now, I see us as watermarks on a page that God flows through those watermarks. We give form to God, but it isn't limited to like God is only in me or only in you. God is in and through and around us. And so that's my perception of what God is. That's what we teach in religious science. So it's not the God of your fathers. It's not the God of your parents when you went to church. So hang with me and understand that that's where I'm coming from. But God is the name that we give to universal spiritual law, just like gravity is one of the names we give to physical law. So when we're talking about that, what we're talking about is giving a name to something to be able to communicate with each other about what we're talking about, right? It'd be kind of hard without words, right? So last week we talked about the way it works, and that's through love and law. And I shared that for me, God being impersonal is really important. I don't believe that God is a he or a she or mother or father. There's no rescue 911 God. It is absolutely a power for good in the universe that flows through us and lives within us. And so when I talk about love being impersonal, I mean that God doesn't have a preference, because people have preferences. That's why it's so important to me that we don't talk about God as a he or a she. Instead, I call it a divine intelligence or an it. And so it's really important that we remember that. Now, when we're talking about God's love, please understand that it is absolutely impersonal, which means it's going to allow us to do what we need to do. We have free choice. We have free will. If I want to stand out there in the middle of the street and attract cars to hit me, it's going to allow me to do that. Now, my sister, I'm not allowed to call her my baby sister anymore. She told me she's not a baby. She's in her 50s. But my sister used to loan me her children because I never had any kids. And so I would take care of them from time to time, just one at a time. I can't do 3 of them. And so, but I, not having kids, I'm really not good at that. And so they would go off to do something and I'd be scared to death. No, don't do that. You might get hurt. No, you can't do that because you might get hurt. And she had to have a sit down with me and explain to me that they have to hurt themselves sometimes so that they learn. For instance, like if they put their finger on the stove and feel like it's hot, that will keep them from in their 40s putting their entire palm down on a hot stove, that kind of thing. And so a little bit at a time, I had to learn to just let them do what they wanted. Well, not, I mean, there were boundaries, but I let them be adventurous. And sometimes I just go inside the house so I wouldn't see it. But that's really what God does. God allows us to just do our thing, and so there's no rescue 911. It's not like, I stood in the middle of the freeway and I got hit by a car. Okay, God, save me. We don't believe in that kind of God. What we believe in is that there is love all around us, in and through us. And that love, God's love, is what we personify in this world when we're in a relationship. Last week, I gave the example of a funnel. I like to think of a funnel coming down in through my crown chakra and out through my heart chakra. And that's really actually a Buddhist teaching, that the Buddhist monks shave their heads, and they shave their heads so that the crown chakra is more open to that energy of the universe, that Kundalini energy that is surrounding us, and it flows through the body. And so in my example of it, it's because I do believe we're like watermarks on a page, and that God not only is inside of me, but is all around me. And so I open myself to this funnel, and then funnel it out through my heart chakra. And that's, for me, that's the better explanation of what happens when I find someone who is difficult for me as a human doing to love. That's how I give that love. And then we talked about so love and law, and we talked about spiritual laws, and that they're impartial. It doesn't matter who uses them. They're going to act the same. It doesn't matter what color you are. Excuse me. Doesn't matter what orientation you are. Doesn't matter whether you're male or female. Doesn't matter whether you're, I guess you have to be human because dogs can't. Well, some dogs can flip light switches and that kind of thing. And gravity, which is a name we give to a physical law, gravity works everywhere except in outer space. So when we talk about the impartiality of the law, what we're saying is we can use all of the laws: the law of circulation, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, the law of assumption. We can use all of those laws knowing that if I use them, you use them, the lady down the street uses them, it's always going to be the same result. So what it does, I believe one of the things it does is it transforms us versus change. I can, change is different than transformation. I can change, and then I can certainly turn around and change back. But if I'm transformed by something, then there's no turning back. And a perfect example of that is I've had friends who've had cancer. And when they come out on the other side of that, they are totally different people. And it's a good thing that they are. They're stronger. They don't take any guff from anybody. They speak up for themselves, and the process of the cancer is about transforming them into something greater than they were before. Not that I celebrate cancer. I'm just saying, there's a lot of tools we use, and cancer is one of those. But I used to separate myself. I was different with my family than I was with my friends, than I was at work, than I was at church, than I was walking down the street. And one of my mentors, Dr. Fred Vogt, said, I want people to know that the person they meet in person is the same person who's on the pulpit. And I got to thinking about that. And when I came to religious science, I finally figured it out that in order to be one, in order to really, truly be in oneness, I couldn't compartmentalize myself like that. I had to be the same person, regardless of where you met me. I became the same with family that I was with friends, that I was with work, that I was in church, that I was in the pulpit, that I was on the street. All of that was about oneness, about me being coherent in all of the facets of who I am. Because we are human doings on this planet. we're spiritual beings having a human experience, which makes us human doings. The human doings do the paperwork, so to speak. That's what I always like to say. Like when I was getting ordained, I knew I was already ordained by God. That was already something that had happened. But the human doingness had to do the paperwork to get that ordination into place. And so that's kind of how I view us as human doings on this planet. And so what it does is it brings peace, optimism, possibilities, and integrity to our lives. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Still clearing up that fungus. So one of the things we do, so many of us human doings do, is divide the world into spiritual and not spiritual. And then we begin to not have a spiritual experience. We had a convention one time in Las Vegas. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on Las Vegas because I love Las Vegas. I go there at least twice a year and hang out. That's my sister and I, that's our favorite place to go. But this experience was so interesting and such a good representation of how you can perceive something as spiritual and non-spiritual that I like to tell a story. So we were staying at this place called the Alexis Park Convention Center and paying $149 a night for these hotel rooms. And we get there, Lynn and I get there, and I gave the bellboy $5 to take our luggage like 50 feet from the cab to the stand and then into the bell desk, right? And I know how Vegas works. I've been going there since I was a baby. And so I know how Vegas works, but it always surprises me somehow. So anyway, then we go in, and when we're in a convention, the ministers like to pick a place where we all congregate and gather as people are coming in so we can greet our colleagues. And usually like in Hawaii and Mexico, that's at the pool. But at the Alexis Park, it was in the bar. So we're sitting in the bar and, we wait for everybody to come in. And then it's time that we get ready for dinner. And we go next door to where the restaurant is. And we're like, okay, so we need to get in. And they're like, yeah, we only have 12 tables. They're all full. We're open from 5 to 7. Try back later. And we're like, so our meeting starts at 7. Okay, well, there's 400 to 600 of us. So I think we'll just, run around and try and find a place to eat. So I go back to my room to change, and there's no luggage. And I call the bell desk and I said, can you bring my luggage? And I said, I'm surprised it isn't here already, because the places I stay usually put my luggage in there for me, but they know me, so it's different. Anyway, so he says, we tried to deliver it earlier, but you weren't there. And I said, well, can't you just put it in the room? And he goes, we work on tips, ma'am. I'm like, yeah, got it. Okay. And I noticed there's no coffee pot in the room. So I go ahead and change my clothes and I run out and I go to dinner. I found some place to have dinner real quick and then get back for the meeting at 7 o'clock. And we get out of our meeting at 9 and I go to the front desk and I'm like, can I go get a steam? And they're like, no, the steam room closes at 9. And I said, is there any way you can hold that open for us until 10 o'clock every night? Because our meetings end at 9 o'clock. And he goes, sure, bring me somebody with a checkbook. I'm like, okay, got it. So I said, can I go buy a coffee pot and put it in my room? And they're like, no, ma'am, we're afraid that the electrical system is so outdated that if we allow people to have coffee pots in their room, it could blow the electrical system. Okay, fine. So I go into the bar and I'm like, can I get a cup of coffee? And this coffee literally was like mud when he poured it. And I said, how old is this coffee? And he said, ancient. And I said, okay, well, can you make me a fresh pot? And he goes, no, ma'am, we're about to close and I'm not making a full pot just for you. Okie dokie then. So I go find coffee somewhere to bring back to my room. And then I go back to the room and I'm trying to get unpacked and the lights are so dim I can't see. So I'm using my cell phone flashlight trying to find my clothes and put them away. And I try to start the fireplace and the fireplace doesn't work. And I called down to the desk and I said, my fireplace doesn't work. And they said, yeah, we disabled those because we were having so many problems with them. And I said, well, can I get any more light in here? And they said, well, you know, that's sort of the ambiance that we have here. I'm like, okay, got it. So I unpacked my suitcase. And about that time, you know, Lynn and I are like, yeah, we're leaving tomorrow. We're going to go over to the Sahara where we can pay $30 a night instead of $149. So we show up at the desk. And they did this. They chose the Alexis Park because it didn't have a casino, because they felt that that would be a more spiritual experience for all of us, right? I don't know about you, but I wasn't having a spiritual experience at that moment. So we show up at the front desk to check out, and there's like 200 people checking out. And the promoter, the organizers of the event are like, well, you know, if you check out, we won't get our free conference rooms. And we're like, yeah, they're not really free to us. We're paying for them with the $149 a night. But anyway, so we went over to the Sahara, got a $30 a night hotel room. There was a casino there. There was an all-night coffee shop that I could get steak and eggs for like $6.99. There was, you know, coffee in the rooms, you know, all of the amenities. And we rented a car to go back and forth with the savings that we were having from not having to pay $149 a night. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money in these, you know, today's figures, but we're talking about back in the early 90s, you know, probably 90, no, well, late 90s, 99, maybe 98, something like that, which was a lot of money for a hotel room back then, especially in Vegas. And so we go and we do this whole thing. And we come back and we're sitting in the lobby because that's kind of where my mentor minister, Dr. Kathleen Vogt, and I used to hang out. She sort of held court. And so all of these people were around us. All these ministers were around us, including some of the organizers. And, you know, teenagers are something else, man. They just really are. They have the most amazing way of irritating and annoying adults I've ever seen. And I say that in a very loving way, right, Faith? Faith knows. She's been that person for me a lot. So anyway, the organizers were talking to us about how many people checked out and how we're now going to have to pay for the conference rooms, and how they were trying to create this very spiritual experience. And apparently it wasn't appreciated because people were going places where there was a casino. And God bless our teenagers who've been raised in religious science. Kristen says, hey, wait a minute. Don't we teach that God is in everything? And so God would be in the casino, and God would be in the experience of being in a casino. And isn't that a spiritual experience? And isn't this a non-spiritual experience? Or is this a spiritual experience? Or, you know, and Kathy and I are rolling on the floor laughing. And the organizers are getting irritated and annoyed. But, you know, God bless our teenagers. They really like put it to us. If you don't practice what you preach, we are going to get in your face about it, right? And so, and that's what the truth is. There is no such thing as a non-spiritual experience. So going to a place that doesn't have a casino does not guarantee that you're going to have a more spiritual experience than if you went to a casino. Trust me, I've had a lot of spiritual experiences in a casino. And so, I always like to tell that story because really when we divide the world into spiritual and not spiritual, we begin to not have a spiritual experience, or it doesn't feel like it's a spiritual experience. And what I think this teaching does is it allows us to have a spiritual experience no matter what we're doing. It doesn't matter whether we're sitting on a street corner in downtown New York to meditate, or we're in a temple where we're meditating like Ram Dass. Ernest Holmes says, every man stands in the shadow of a mighty mind, pure intelligence, and a divine givingness. Yet we allow ourselves to be distracted by a world that is filled with the appearance of limitation and disappointment. And that's what happens to us a lot, because sometimes we give an appearance evil or harmful or sinful aspects, or we give it the power to be that. And in New Thought, we don't give it that power. We say everything is good, meaning there is no good or bad or right or wrong, or it just is. And it's good because even though it might stimulate us to grow and that might not be comfortable, it is still good because it it gives us an opportunity to make that growth. In New Thought, we call it the dark side or shadow material. When I was training in the Native American tradition, we called it the shadow material, the dark, the shadow world. And we celebrated that the shadow world was important because it had to be there in order for us to see. The contrast was important in order for us to see the good in the world. We had to see the shadow world as well. See, darkness is only the inability to see. It doesn't have a force of its own. And, truly cats can walk into a dark room and see immediately. We're the only ones that can't do that because it takes time for our eyes to adjust because it's our anatomy. But the light has always been there. It never left. And that's what it is with God. God never leaves our side. Why I think that the Adam and Eve story is so improbable is because on the one side, they're saying that Adam and Eve hid from God. And on the other side, they're saying God is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing. Well, you can't reconcile those two things. How can you hide from something that is all-seeing and all-knowing and all-present, right? Omnipresence. So there is no hiding from God. And so I think that story is very improbable. I think it had a reason to be taught. There's always a metaphysical reason for things in the Bible. But I don't think that it is something that we should give our power away to. Something that we can say, hey, that there's darkness, there's not light, there's a powerful evil in the universe. No, I don't believe that. If there was a power for good and a power for evil, I can't talk all of a sudden, and they were the same power, they would cancel each other out. And if a devil or an evil entity was more powerful than God, then all we would see is what we saw in the Dark Ages, where people believed in that darker power. And what we see is good in the world. I mean, you look at the flowers and the trees and the birds and the bees and all the animals, and you look at life. How can you possibly think that there is not a power for good in the universe, right? And so that's what I tend to focus my attention on. When I realize that the universe is a universe of spiritual goodness, that's when I begin to experience life as good, right? We have a choice. We can experience life as painful and suffering and nasty, or we can choose to experience life as good and know that everything that happens for our growth, right? I've had two experiences of this, but the first one that is the most powerful for me was I was working at this company called Scientific Software, and I was an assistant technical writer. And when I joined the company, we were in a small building on 5th and Sherman. And I was right next door to the technical writer, and she and I worked very closely together. And I realized I needed to take some schooling because I was translating JCL, RPG, and COBOL into English for user guides and technical manuals. And so I went to school, and I am one credit shy of a degree in computer sciences because I didn't feel like I wanted to take intro to computers. And so that's the only class I didn't take. But Scientific Software, I was so unhappy there. We moved downtown to the City Center 4 building, and we were in cubicles, and it just was not the same. I hardly saw Adrian at all. I worked, with all the other assistants, and, Adrian would email me or, message me what she wanted done. And it just became a very different experience. And I knew I needed to get out of there. I knew I needed to leave. But there was a part of me that was afraid to leave because I felt like, where am I going to get another job that pays this well, that has these kind of benefits, and is something I enjoy doing? And when Scientific Software merged with Intercomp, they had the companies were similar. So they would look at the positions that were duplicates, and they'd say, well, this person has a degree, this person doesn't have a degree. And then they would lay off the person that didn't have a degree. Well, that was me. And I had told Lynn this was coming. He knew. And so they call me in and they say, you know, we're really sorry. Can we help you find another job? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They were really apologetic. They were having a harder time with it than I was. I was like, yeah, I know. God, you know, I needed to get out of here. And so I called Lynn. We packed up my stuff. We went, the first Star Wars movie was debuting that day. So we stood in line for like 45 minutes to go in and see this movie. But I realized at first that I hadn't breathed in an awfully long time because I was suffering so much when I would go to work. And I recognize now that if I'm not willing to, if the human doingness in me is not willing to move forward and I'm that miserable, then the divine within me is going to step forward and push me. And so, because I know what I really want, but the divine in me knows better, really knows my heart, right? And so I had another situation like that at Bobby McGee's. I was a gypsy and I was a fortune teller. For those of you who ever ate at Bobby McGee's back in those days, it was a themed restaurant, 5-star dining, but we were all dressed in costumes, and I did palm reading at the table. And I'm a horrible waitress. I'm just a horrible waitress. That is not my forte. And we would go around in costumes and do these fun events for people's birthdays and that kind of thing. But I could never get the timing down. You know, by the time I did my palm reading and I went over there and I did all the birthday songs and whatever, I never got the orders in the right way. Anyway, so they merged with another Bobby McGee's and they had another gypsy. And so they laid me off. And again, they were trying to make me feel better. And I was like, I ended up making them feel better about the decision because once again, I was not a good waitress and I did not enjoy it. And I should have gotten out of there long before that, but I kind of enjoyed the experience of dressing up as gypsy and, you know, all of that. But in there was like a fear, you know, fear motivates us, but it also demotivates us in a lot of ways, because if I'm afraid to move on to the next step, then what's happening is I'm not moving forward and I'm not expressing fully my spiritual beingness, right? For instance, when I was board president at the church up in Brighton, Sacred Circle Church, when I was in the school of ministry, I was the board president and we only voted in a tie. And so, they voted to go up to this cabin. I'm a city girl. I will own it. I am totally a city girl. I don't do camping. I don't do, you know, I'm just not. And they voted to go up to this. One of the board members had a cabin up in Aspen Park, up above that Aspen Park. And because I was in such resistance and I didn't have a say in it, I put off leaving until the very last minute, and it had started to snow and it was really icky out. And I get up there and I see the balloons. So I know I'm supposed to get off the freeway over there. Because the whole experience was, you know, bring water to sluice the toilet down because we don't have indoor plumbing and there's only 2 beds and there's 7 of us. So bring a sleeping bag and you can sleep on the floor. And I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. So I was in so much resistance to it that I pulled off the freeway. I get out and I see this house and I'm like, okay, cool. You know, that's a marker. And I'm driving around and I'm running out of gas and it's snowing like crazy. And Jeannie had said, don't get out of the car because the moose are in mating season and the bears are preparing for hibernation. And so they're looking for food and it's not safe to be out of the car. So I come upon this house and I get out of the car and I go and I knock on the door because it had lights on. And all of a sudden I hear the moose and I'm like, and I run back and get in the car. And then I'm driving around and I get up to this one house and there's a golden retriever in there. So I keep thinking they're going to have to be home soon. And then after about the 5th time I got to that house, I thought, you know, it could have a doggy door and it could have a self-feeder. And I broke down in tears. And that was the moment at which I began to pray, right? Like we don't think to pray in the midst of all the rest of it. So I broke down in tears. I'm sobbing, I'm praying, and I got this intuitive thing to go back to that first house that I saw after the balloons. And I go to that house and I lay on the horn and this guy comes out and he goes, I don't know Jeannie, but I kind of know where you're going. And he gets me up there and I show up just in time for us to be done with the meeting. And I go back down to Aspen Park proper where I had rented a cabin. And it was actually a cabin for 40 people. or 20 people, I think. And, here I sat with 4 couches, whatever. And I listened to the moose and I listened to the bears, but I felt safe. And so I could be fully in the experience instead of being in reaction or fear. And so the next morning I get up to go up there, and I look at this street that I was on, or these roads I was on, and there's only enough room for one vehicle. And above me are these huge cliffs going way, way up, and a 60-foot drop on the other side. And so at any moment I could have slid off, and, dire things could have happened. I tell you all of this because I already had set up in my mind it was going to be a negative experience. You see what I mean? And so I did have a negative experience. And I got up there. We did a great retreat. It was awesome. And I left, very happy. But I really look back on those times, being laid off, the board retreat, all of those, as where my ego was telling me what experience I was supposed to have and keeping me in fear about moving on. So when I say that what it does is provide us with peace, optimism, possibilities, and integrity, that's what I mean. I have peace now because I know that God flows through me, that it is in and around me and all the way through everything in life. I have optimism because I do know that this too shall pass and all things will be made new, right? And I know about possibilities because in God, all things are possible, right? I'm a human doing. I see this much. God sees the entire picture. And so I'm in integrity because I'm no longer a different person every place I am, or depending on who I'm with. I am living in the oneness. I am experiencing the oneness, not only in my personality, but all around me. And so peace, optimism, possibilities, and integrity is what it does. Will you practice that with me this week? Will you allow yourself to experience the world through the lens of the oneness of God, the oneness of life, the oneness of power? Can you do that? Let's have a prayer. Right now, I just find myself in the midst of God, where beyond my human awareness, I am very clear that God is all there is, all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is here. And that's where I find myself, in the midst of God, my very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through me. That same truth is so for all of the team, for Lynn and for Faith and for Tina and for Oz and for Karen and for Elaine. For we are one in that beingness of God. God flows through us evenly and effortlessly. And we are guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through us all. That same truth is so for everyone who is here this morning, either in real time or later on. There is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. We are connected by it, through it, as it. Mitaki Yasin, all my brother. We are related. We are connected. We are one. So I bless this coming week because I do know that we experience all of these opportunities for the awareness of God's oneness to show up in our lives, to celebrate that which we are, made of the stuff of God, powerfully, beautifully, lovingly created and sustained by that power. So I know that's so for every name that is in the ministry of prayer today, because I do know that that same power, that same presence, that same love, that same life, that same being is more powerful than any condition they could be experiencing. And I call that forth as I pull back the veil and reveal the truth. I claim it for them, here and now, in their name, as good and very good. I give thanks for this, to know that this is done, to be of service in this way, as I just let this be. And so it is. Amen. Come back. Okay. Now is our opportunity. Woof. I'm telling you, it's really difficult to come back sometimes when I'm praying. Now is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and it's our opportunity to receive those, and your opportunity to give thanks for that which you have already experienced in the physical realm, and that which you have created in the mind of God, but may not have experienced in physical reality yet. So we're in a minute. I'm going to invite you to go to www.oasiscsl.org. And about 2/3 down the page is our offering affirmation with a contribute now button at the bottom. And I just want to say something about contributions real quick, because we don't have a facility, and so there's no, like, you're not paying rent, you're not paying utilities, those kinds of expenses are not included in what you're contributing to. It does cost, however, for us to market ourselves, and we are doing our best to be a global community, and it takes marketing to do that. We already have people from the UK, from Germany, and from the Netherlands or Holland who tune in. Obviously, there's a time difference, so they don't tune in during the service. And so it takes money to be able to market that. So you are contributing to the vision and mission of this center, which is for the whole world to be healed, and we do it one person at a time by uplifting and inspiring each person. So that's what you're contributing to. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So please go with me now, whether you're looking at this in real time or later on. Go with me now to www.oasiscsl.org. About 2/3 down the page is our offering affirmation. Please say that with me now. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. All right, hit that contribute now button as we do these announcements. All right, we have decided, so I've been doing some research, and it looks like PayPal is actually the best deal as far as the fees they charge. I looked into Cash App and I looked into Venmo. When we're a nonprofit organization, there's just a lowered rate on each of those. So we're going to stick with PayPal. So we're having the foundations classes starting February 2nd. It'll be from 6 to 10 Mountain Time. I am open to doing a morning class for those people who are in Europe or anywhere else where there's a big time difference. Just email me or message me here or something and let me know that you would like to take a class, and I will set up a class. I will not offer a class to only one person, however. I need to have at least two, because otherwise all I'm doing is lecturing and there's no participation. There's no discussion. I like people to get into discussions so that they can really argue it back and forth and come to their conclusions without just me talking to them. So anyway, let us know if you would like to take that class. We ask that you pay $30 a class up to the 5th class and then pay the rest, because by then you know that you like that class. It's a 10-week course for $300. If you have taken the class already and you have registered it, or your minister has registered it through Home Office, you can take it for review for $30 total for the 10 weeks. All right. So just let us know that you would like to take that class. We're going to start February 2nd. It's a Thursday evening from 6 to 10 Mountain Time. All right. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast that serve on our God Squad. There's someone in Minnesota. There's someone in Long Beach, California. Oz is in Florida most of the time. Sometimes he's in Wisconsin. We have Tina here in Colorado. And so we have this team that is coast to coast, these licensed practitioners who are available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance. So if you would like to make an appointment with one of them, go on to Facebook and message them. let them know. They will let you know how to pay for it. I don't get involved in that. They have their own separate business. So it might be Cash App, it might be Venmo, might be PayPal, might be Wise. I don't get involved in that. They'll let you know how to pay, and they'll set an appointment with you, and then they'll reach out to you by video chat at your appointed time. But take advantage of this. Our practitioners are the healing arm of the church, and they can know the spiritual truth for you until you are strong enough to know it for yourself. All right. And then we have Oz is available for what we call our 1-minute miracle after the service. It's not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share with him whatever challenge you're experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. So you reach out to him through video chat. If he doesn't answer right away, it means he's on the line with someone else. And so just try back a little bit later. But take advantage of this loving service he provides. All right. And if you would like prayer during this week, put it in the comments section. If you don't want it to be public, you can always DM Faith or myself, and we will make sure that it gets onto, we have a private facing group page on Facebook for the God Squad. And that's where the prayers are listed so that our God Squad can get to them. They pray every day on those requests for a week. So another service that they provide that you should take advantage of, definitely. So if you would like prayer for something, put it in the comments. Otherwise, DM. If you don't want it to be public, DM. Probably Faith is better than me. DM Faith and let her know that you would like prayer for something, and she will get it listed on that. If you would like to be part of our online community, type more in the comments section. And that's so you become part of our public facing group page on Facebook. You get information before we release it to the public. So any classes or any events that we're going to have get listed there. So type more in the comments section if you would like to do that. All right. We have a couple of people that I like to acknowledge here. The first one is Brooks and Bailey. Excuse me. They do mala beads and necklaces and bracelets. This one that I have is amethyst. It's $60. They do have $30 and up. I like mala bead necklaces because the Buddhists and the Hindus use these mala beads to count off their mantras. So they move one bead at a time as they do the mantra. I think it's great for affirmations. You know, I always say do 100 affirmations a day. So there's 108 beads in this necklace and 104 in the bracelet. So, and they are, you can reach them through Brooks and Bailey 0307@gmail.com. All proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. They also have a Facebook page that you can reach them through. And whenever they are going to have a booth at an event, and they post it, I try to share it on our page so that you know where you can go see their lovely stuff, because they really do have beautiful stuff. Okay, Faith.
And please check out my metaphysical shop. We have intention jars as well as bath salts to help focus whatever you are currently working on, as well as kits to make them yourself. The website no longer works. However, you still can order through Instagram and Facebook. Just DM us and we can figure out payment from there. We also are looking to add a new element here in the next couple months. So definitely follow us and make sure to be in the loop so that you can get those updates. All prices are on Facebook as well.
Thank you. Yeah, this is an intention jar that Faith made me for prosperity. And when I do my work on prosperity, I like to play with it. It's just so cool. The wax is starting to fall off because I played with it way too much, but that was $15. And so her prices are very reasonable. We have an adjunct to that, which is Angel Renee has these intention candles and a tea bag that you put in your bath that has aromatic herbs that help you focus on your intention. So check her out. All of the information is in the comments. Faith has provided it for us all. All right. Check out Reverend Fairy Lane Silver's website. You'll have to go to the website, look at, see what CD you want, but you'll have to reach out to her by email. She can't update her website for some reason. And so she's on the road a lot singing, and she carries her CDs around in her trunk. So if you email her, she'll let you know how to pay for them. And she's really good about sending them out right away so that you get your CD. And then Karen Drucker's website does work. Karen Drucker, has been a music director in 3 different religious science churches, and she sells by the song, by the CD. She sells songbooks that sometimes have sign language in them, in case you're interested in learning sign language on some of that. We love her music, so we like to support those who support us, and they have provided us. Karen has provided us with her entire collection, not only just songs, but the karaoke files, so that we can do music here at the church. So also check out our website at oasiscsl.org. There you will find video sermons. We're in the process of getting it updated. It was pointed out to me that we have some stuff that needs to be updated on it. So we're in the process of updating it. But you will find video sermons from the last 2 years and audio sermons from years prior. We are also on YouTube and SoundCloud. YouTube obviously has the video files and SoundCloud has the audio files, but you can look us up under S. Tucker. All right. We're going to go into our closing song before Oz prays us out. So here you go. If you don't know the words to this, absolutely learn these. Get this stuck as a meme in your head, because this is the way to live life.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And I know the blessings of God are always with us, for God is all there is, in everything, as everything, eternal and ever present. So going forth in the presence of God, I know that we are all blessed through the course of our week and the course of our times. I give thanks that this is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so
It is.
thank you so much. Those of you who are here today, thank you so much for being here. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday, and we're really blessed to have you with us. Thank you to Leslie for joining us today. We loved having you. And thank you to all of you. Join us next week at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We're going to talk about how to use it. That's the next step in all of this. I think it's going to be a fun Sunday. So definitely join us. In the meantime, stay safe, wear a mask, and we love you. Thank you for being here.